Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mel. If you haven't been here before, I'm Mel, the host of this channel. And if you have not been here before, make sure you subscribe before you continue watching the rest of this video. We're a little bit tardy with this one. As you know, I usually start at the beginning of the season, but I took this time to kind of get some first impressions, so this video might be a little bit different compared to some of my other seasonal anime. So if you're looking for a guide as to what to watch this spring 2026, you're here at the right place. Here are some of my favorite anime and most anticipated anime for spring 2026. This one comes from the creator of Violet Evergarden, so you know it's going to make you sad. Agents of the Four Seasons has this really cool concept where a person, an individual, represents each season and they basically bring the season forth. But the plot of this story is that one of the agents of the season, Spring, has been kidnapped for 10 years. She makes her reappearance, brings back Spring, but she's kind of traumatized and there's a lot going on. Winter, who seems to have strong feelings for Spring, feels responsible for her kidnapping. Spring's protector, Sakura, also feels extreme guilt for not protecting her as her bodyguard. And basically, the Spring and the Winter camps have this difficult dynamic going on. Honestly, I just really need to see Spring and Winter reconcile because their love leaves me with so much yearning. And I can only imagine what the other seasons are going through, like fall and summer, because it seems that with all the power that they have, all of these agents of the seasons, they seem pretty powerless. And the agency that kind of oversees them seems super sus, like what's going on with them. It kind of seems to be hinted at that they were responsible for Spring's kidnapping, but there's more to learn there. So if you're looking for something that will leave you with immense yearning, that's filled with drama, has wonderful animation, and is definitely going to leave you downright emotional, I highly recommend Agents of the Four Seasons. This anime just had a huge influx of characters. While watching the trailers and even the first 6 episodes, I was like, whoa, holy cow, who are all these new characters? Seeing as Classroom of the Elite is in a new year, the students that were mostly following Ayano Koji's class has gone from year 1 to year 2. We have a new influx of year 1 students, and it seems like they're making the dynamic at the school a lot more complicated and hard. It looks like there's going to be a competition between the classes just from what's appearing in the trailers if you've yet to seen the first 6 episodes of Classroom of the Elite. And it seems like Ayano Koji is gonna pull his foot off the brakes and go full gas on this season. I just love the fact that Ayano Koji wants to be a regular dude, have a simple life, but the White Room and these opposing factors in this school just keep pulling him back into this life that he doesn't want to be in. I mean, can you just let the dude chill? But with a loaded season 4, I think we have much to look forward to in terms of drama, thrills, and high stakes situations. And I'm also curious as to who this assassin from the White Room that has been sent to this school to take out Ayano Koji and make sure that he gets expelled is, because honestly, after 6 episodes and so many different antagonists coming out of the woodworks, new ones at that, I really can't put my finger on it. I feel like this anime does a fantastic job of keeping you on your toes and keeping you in the dark. Mostly because this comes from the same creator of You and I Are Polar Opposites, which I absolutely loved from winter 2026. I had to pick up the Ramparts of Ice, which is on Netflix. This one seems to be a little bit more dramatic in contrast to You and I Are Polar Opposites. Still has really good comedic moments similar to You and I Are Polar Opposites, but the female MC seems to be dealing with some past trauma of getting bullied due to her height. And because of this, she's become kind of frigid. But 1 or 2 guys in her school kind of notice that maybe that's not who she really is and becomes curious about her. So for the most part, it seems like it's a coming of story of friends where we will anticipate some romance brewing at some point. And while building these relationships, not only do I think that our female MC is going to start opening up as she realizes that maybe she's not really this ice queen, maybe she likes to be friendly, maybe she likes to have fun and be with people and not be alone. But some of the other characters that she ends up interacting with also have self-discovery moments as well, where they're like, oh, I thought this about myself, but maybe this is how I actually am, or maybe I'm both. Which can often happen. Like, you could love being alone, but love being with people. It just really depends on the moment. So I think I'm really going to enjoy this anime from what I've seen in the trailers and what I've seen so far of the anime. Dr. Stone, please don't go. We are entering the final part of the final season of Dr. Stone. Man, it has been quite a ride, and I have absolutely loved this anime so much just due to the educational factors, and it's just like a fun ride, a great adventure, and it's funny. It really seems like we have to expedite the plot here. Not necessarily the plot, but the science itself, because I feel like the first 1 through the 3rd season was like very slow buildup of technology. And maybe this is how it actually is in reality. Like, it's really slow to start when it comes to science, and then as you become more and more evolved, the ability to evolve exponentially like increases, because it seems like we may be going in the ways of creating machines and computers. It's actually kind of crazy. And while initially watching the trailers, I had my reserves about like the increased pace in terms of like technology development and science development, so far from what I've seen, it feels like really well paced. So this might turn out well. So as we anticipate the build of the spaceship so that they can go to the moon and see white man, this final season leaves me with many thoughts based on what I've seen in the trailer. Like, first of all, they're saying it's a one-way ticket to the moon. What do you mean it's a one-way ticket to the moon? How are we getting back? That sounds insane. Don't do this to me. And also, like, really thinking about it, and maybe someone in the comments could help me with my thought process here. If Y-Man was the person who like triggered the whole like petrification like centuries, thousands of years ago, how is he still alive? Or is he the antagonist for now? Maybe it was somebody else who triggered the petrification. I don't know. It just had me thinking recently. I don't know why I didn't think about this before, but it suddenly dawned upon me that, what do you mean Y-Man is the person who triggered the petrification? It's been thousands of years. How is he still alive? Did he petrify himself on the moon and then unpetrify himself? You know? If you're new here, then you might not know that this is probably my favorite, my most anticipated, and honestly loving it so much, hands down anime for this season, and it's getting 24 episodes. And did I mention it's free on YouTube? It's free on YouTube, depending on your region. Anyway, Akane-Banashi is off to a smashing start. The adaptation from manga to anime has been like beyond my expectations. The voice acting is absolutely fantastic. I think I actually saw somewhere that the voice actors actually kind of did some training beforehand, like practicing Rakugo so that they could emulate that as they do the voice work for the anime. And also, it seems like they have their studio kind of set up in a way that they're sitting as if they're like performing Rakugo as they're voicing their lines, which I find absolutely fascinating from like a psychological perspective. But if you don't know what Akane-Banashi is, please go watch my video that I've created on it. I feel like there's not much I can say else than that, but you will be pleasantly surprised to know how amazing a series about Rakugo can be through Akane-Banashi. Like, you're going to see so much action, so much tension, you're gonna laugh so much, you're also gonna cry, you're gonna be emotional. The character of Akane is just a spitfire, and you're gonna end up loving her with each and every episode that passes. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Go watch the full-length video to know more. So for those of you who are patrons on Patreon, thank you so much. And for those of you who are on Patreon, you may have been one of those few that voted for us to do a monthly live on this anime. Probably mostly due to the fact that it's created by the same person who created Full Metal Alchemist. There's so much anticipation about Daemons of the Shadow Realm that I definitely had my reservations going in. But after the first 3 episodes, I feel those similar elements that you get from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's anime, where you've got like really great fantastic action. Bone Studio did the same animation for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood as they're doing for Daemons of the Shadow Realm. You've got those great comedic moments to help break the tension. The tension comes from a prophecy that tells of 2 twins that split day and night, born to this village that they're in. And I think due to this prophecy, they decide to separate the twins. And one thing I find really interesting for those of you who may not have noticed is that Yuru, which means night, which is explained in the anime, has light blonde hair, which is very contrasting of what night actually is. And then Asa, which they may not have explained, means morning, has black hair, which you would think would represent night. One quick thing that I noticed that I found fascinating. But in watching the first 3 episodes, I think that with the prophecy, whatever these 2 twins embody may lead to the fact as to why one represents night and one represents day. That's just my thought process. In an attempt not to spoil this, I won't state why, but I think if you watch the first 3 episodes, you may get a sense as to the symbolism of day and night naming of these characters here. Oh, but let me backtrack. These 2 twins, mostly separated for the duration of their entire youth, come to find out that Yuru, who thinks he's been visiting his sister in this cage every day of his life, that's not really his sister. His sister left the village ages ago when she was 10 and came back to try and fetch him. Like, whoa, super shocker, mind blown. And that was all within episode 1. But the anime seems to be finding its rhythm, as everything that you see within the trailers is not what it seems, and there's something greater beyond the village that Yuru and Asa come from. It threw me for a loop, and I think I'm going to enjoy this anime very much so. How much of this is going to feel like Inuyasha, I wonder? Mao is from the same creator of Inuyasha and Ranma 1/2, which you could kind of see right away just based off the character designs. But I mean, the premise just feels so much like Inuyasha, which I'm not complaining about because I love Inuyasha. And to feel Inuyasha come back in 2026, it makes my millennial heart super happy. Because Mao seems to be like this person that's cursed with like yokai abilities, and this teenage girl from the modern era who is able to travel back in time. Crazy how similar it is to Inuyasha in that sense, also seems to have yokai abilities. But the uniqueness of this story is that both of them apparently can travel through time, both Mao and this teenage girl from the present, and they end up in times that are both respectively not their own. While I will say that this is probably at the very bottom of my list just because the episodes that have been released so far has some odd pacing to it, and I'm really trying to get behind what's happening, I still am very intrigued to understand like what the deal is. Like, Mao's in a time that he doesn't originally come from. He has been mysteriously cursed by this cat yokai, but he thinks that someone set him up to be cursed. Our female MC has been also cursed by a yokai, but the circumstances of this is kind of mysterious. So I do wonder how much of the mystery will continue carrying on before they start to give us some breadcrumbs. Because there's only so much of a mystery that you can hold on to before you lose your audience. But I do hope to see our female NC kick into action a little bit more as the episodes progress, because it seems like with this yokai curse that she has on her, she has supernatural abilities, which is actually kind of cool. I love it. I think this anime was originally supposed to come out in 2025, and there has been so much buzz around it. So much so that the mangaka showed up at New York Comic-Con in 2024. Anyway, Witch Hat Atelier has finally dropped. I don't know how to say the atelier any other way, sorry. But holy animation and art. The trailers looked beautiful. The anime looked stunning. Each and every episode, the animation, the art continues to take my breath away. And I'm so happy that this anime decided to do a 2-episode premiere, because I don't think I could live with myself seeing the ending of episode 1 and not being able to know what happens next. But I love the fact that the whole premise or the whole world of Witch Hat Atelier is based on witches and how they essentially have to be born with magic. So Coco, who's always been enamored with magic, feels like she'll never have her chance at it, even though she continues to pine at the idea that maybe one day she can perform magic. But unfortunately, due to her curiosity, she gets herself in hot water as she finds out that you actually don't have to be born with magic to be a witch. Magic is actually performed with some ink in some very special drawings, meaning that magic is accessible to all. So why exactly is it that society in Witch Hat Atelier believes that you have to be born with magic in order to perform it? Well, as you watch this anime, you come to find out some hints and glimpses as to why that is. And one thing that they note in the trailers is that the hats that they wear are for 2 specific purposes. 1, so that you can be identified as a witch. And 2, it restricts you from misusing magic. So this obviously gives you a hint as to some of the dark history behind magic and witches, and what will probably be the main conflict throughout the story of Witch Hat Atelier. So aside from its beauty, I'm really excited to see what the plot of Witch Hat Atelier has to offer to us, the audience. Because I can see this getting darker and darker with each and every episode, despite the fact that our main characters are these itty-bitty children. But I mean, there are other anime that have done really dark stuff with itty-bitty children. It's not foreign. All right, this one's a little interesting because I've been reading the manga for this one for a while, similar to Akane-Banashi. And while the beginning of this had a huge impact on me, at some point I started to feel like, are we getting to the end of this story now? But I will say that the anime has kind of refreshed my love for Marriagetoxin. Because one thing that pulled me into story is that Gero Hikaru is an absolute babe, number one. And two, it's a battle anime, an action anime, but with romance? Or is it a romance anime with action in it? I don't know which one it is, because they balance the two so very well. We go back and forth between immense action scenes and the progression of the romantic plot of getting Gero Hikaru to get married. Because in this story, there are a bunch of master prestige families that specialize in these techniques. Gero comes from the poison family. So they specialize in mixing of poisons, their lethalness, and assassination. I mean, other families specialize in assassination too, but they all have different techniques. Like fire, sound, water, iron. The sky is the limit with this. And in hopes of shielding her sister from being forced into an arranged marriage to produce an heir for the Gero family, Gero Hikaru decides to employ Hinosaki Mei to be his marriage counselor or advisor, something like that. So he sets out on a journey to find a wife, to produce an heir for the Gero family, save his sister from abandoning her current relationship with her girlfriend, and find a normal, happy life that he's never had throughout his entire childhood up until now, just due to the circumstances of being within the poison family or being part of one of these prestigious assassination families. Gosh, there's just so much to say here about this anime. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing the rest of this adaptation because I don't remember the manga being this funny. I feel like the anime is really hitting home on the comedic moments, and I'm finding myself enjoying the story in a completely different way. So a quick thank you to LF24 and Hungry Brit for peer pressuring me into watching Nippon Sangoku, because that's quite possibly one of the best random pickups, going in blind anime that I have seen for this season. If you thought Akane from Akane-Banashi had the gift of gab, our MC from Nippon Sangoku has so much knowledge that his gift of gab is immensely powerful. Nippon Sangoku is set during a time in the future, the far future, where the economy in the country of Japan has essentially collapsed, leading to massive revolution, deprecation in technology, and kind of like the loss of information in some ways. And because of this, the country has kind of been split up into 3 different factions to determine who will be the new rulers of Japan overall. So the country is kind of constantly at war. But due to the environment that they're currently in, with lack of technology, lack of information, and just the higher importance of having combat skills and being able to like participate in the war, the power of information is extremely important to this story, which brings in our main character, Misumi. Someone who loves reading stories and loves getting information about how Japan and the world used to be prior to its collapse and its state that it's currently in. And due to some really crazy circumstances that happen in episode 1, he sets out on a journey to try and bring Japan back together as one. And the trailer kind of states that this story is about how he becomes one of the greatest strategists during this time and during this era. But aside from the grip that this story has on me, because it is so riveting and so captivating, I love the animation of it. Because it's really nice when you get like a different vibe of animation. While art styles tend to vary from anime to anime, that really clean line look kind of can be seen similarly throughout various anime as you continue to watch over the years, depending on how many anime you've seen. So when you see something really unique in terms of animation, it really like hits you hard. So you're gonna get something extremely riveting, extremely captivating, something that's going to like bum rush your mind, for lack of better words. And it's gonna be like kind of refreshing to the eyes. So if nothing on this list really grabbed your attention, I'm gonna really like highly encourage that you watch Nippon Sangoku. I love that ReZero is coming back so soon with a season 4, because I feel like between season 1 and season 2 and season 3, they were kind of like scattered and far apart. And season 4 is picking right back up at the very end of season 3, where Julius kind of like loses his name to Glutton, so nobody knows who he is except for Subaru. Though he has all of his memories, which is in contrast to Rem, who no one remembers, and she also has no memories. But it seems like this season, which is going to be split into 2 cores, is going to be focused on them trying to get the names back of Rem and Julius. And it seems like they've found a way, like this sage that lives in some faraway land that may be able to help them. But as you know, and as how ReZero goes, nothing is as straightforward, and it requires a couple of deaths from Subaru in order to figure out. And man, let me tell you, just based off the first few episodes, it is already off to an extremely gruesome start. Sometimes I forget how much ReZero is like a psychological horror. I don't know if it's categorized in that genre, but it should be if it's not. But anyway, despite all the mystery, because it's hard to tell what's going to happen from the trailers, and even just from the few episodes that are already out, the stakes are as high as usual and higher than ever. Some special mentions that I'll be keeping an eye out for are My Hero Academia More, which is a special episode epilogue that they're going to be releasing at some point in May, because I loved the ending of My Hero Academia, but it felt like something was missing, you know? What happened to Ochako and Deku? Like, where is all that romantic tension building up through all 8 seasons? Like, where did it go? So I hope to see kind of like that story and more as someone who's never read the manga, or just see like a little bit more of the lives of the other characters, because it felt like the very last episode came very fast and furious in a way, though satisfying. And One Piece, after taking a break and so-called starting season 2, has returned with the Elbaf arc, which looks very, very wonderful. I love the changes that Toei has been making with the animation. I want to say since like parts of Wano, but especially within Egghead, and it seems like we're kind of continuing some of that softer animation into Elbaf. And I mean, I don't know how many of you read the manga, but I mean, oh man, I am looking forward to all of the scenes that have been given to us in the manga, because man, Elbaf has been so good to us. These are my top most anticipated and my favorite anime, and some of my impressions for spring 2026. If there's an anime that I may not have mentioned that you're currently watching, let me know in the comments below. Or if there's one that I did mention that you are watching, let me know your thoughts on some of the anime that you've seen or are looking forward to for spring 2026. Keep an eye out for some monthly lives that we're going to be doing for Daemons of the Shadow Realm, where we're going to talk about a couple of episodes every month. Because you know, anime is best enjoyed when you have other people to talk about it with, right? And I just want to take a quick moment to thank everyone who has become a paid patron or has tipped me on my Patreon. You can find a link in the description below if you want to join, because there will be some exclusive content coming soon. And thank you everyone for participating on my Patreon page overall. However, that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching another episode and video of Animel. If you enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and share with somebody else as we try to continue to grow this community. I'm Mel, the host of Animel, and I will catch you all on the next one. Bye!